Hello.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. So this is Lara, aka the Sound Sommelier, here with Donwill. Donwill, what's your earliest memory of hip hop?
Earliest memory of hip hop. What is my earliest memory? I don't know. Like honestly, I want to say like one of the earliest things I do remember is like transcribing rhymes from like we would me and my sister would record stuff like so my sister would have like stuff recorded from the radio, so like transcribing UTFO rhymes and Roxanne Shante and shit, like writing that down, like listening to the tape, pausing the tape and writing the lyrics and then like learning the lyrics and then like
That's
repeating them.
exactly. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Funny enough, it's one of those things that like I never really think about it, but it was such an impactful moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially with cassette tapes, like that was no joke. Like having it with like a Walkman, or you did it on a stereo.
We had a like a little boombox type of deal.
Sorry, that's what I meant on boombox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. What are some records you remember hearing as a child that made a noticeable impact on you early on?
For some reason, I keep thinking about Stevie Wonder, "Hotter Than July." Based on cover art alone, it's one of those covers like it's just stuck out of my mind forever. That the Gap Band, hip hop records or just records in general?
Records in general.
Yeah,
Anything that might have formed your first initial love of music.
Gap Band, definitely. Stevie Wonder, "Hotter Than July." Aretha, Patty. You know, the soul staples.
Mm-hmm. In a past interview, you shared that you get down with anybody that cares about their word more than their image, and that your influences are more poetry than anything. When did you start writing?
I started writing, like some of my earliest memories of writing like raps or just writing stuff in general, was like high school, early college.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know the high school was like more freestyle. So high school was definitely just kind of like hanging out, freestyling, breakdancing, and doing shit like that. Well, I guess breakdancing was a little bit before high school. No,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of it was
Around
I
that.
was breaking and shit. But I know that when I got to college, when I went to North Carolina A&T, I was part of like a poetry club called the Couch Club.
Nice.
And we would, like do performances, like so perform spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was kind of rap, it bordered on rap because my cadences were very rapper like and I would end on a bar and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it was just way too wordy to fit into music. So I had to figure out how to like shape words to fit into the context of a song.
Sorry about my cat. You grew up in Cincinnati, where famed hip hop festival Scribble Jam called home. How did the scene influence your decision to pursue a career built from your love of music and the written word?
Funny enough, so I went to high school with like Main Flow from Mood and the Fat John from 5Ds lived in the house behind me.
Wow.
So like I had all these guys around me. Like one of the first time I'd ever seen like an MPC in person was at Fat John's house. You know what I'm saying? Like he showed it to me, and I still didn't understand like constructing music or like even what it was used for as a sampler or making beats. But so the Cincinnati hip hop scene in itself, like I would say arguably, I just wasn't largely aware of it before college. I was aware of the Cincinnati social scene, and I know that there was a performance venue called Top Cats, and everybody would play at. But it wasn't just specifically hip hop; it was just a performance venue, so bands from all over would come to it. Nice. But when I got of age and I would start going to the hip hop nights, that's when it was like, oh, okay. Like there would be ciphers and shit, and I would always be kind of scared to jump in, but you know what I'm saying? Like throw caution to the wind and get in there anyway. And just, I think the scene in itself, just understanding that, like, a scene is only as big as you make it. like even in New York, the scene is it's larger, but it's small. You know what I'm saying? Like once you are in the scene or around the scene, you just kind of meet the people that you kind of meet everybody. And
Yeah, everybody knows everybody.
exactly.
I agree. You and MC producer Von P first exchanged words on an okplayer.com message board, which reminded me of how Nicolay and Fontaine met before forming the Foreign Exchange. How did this connection evolve into the creation of Tanya Morgan in 2003?
We had just met and we're kicking stuff around. Like he would send me stuff, I would send him stuff, and I was also in a crew with Ilias, a larger crew in North Carolina, and I would send him stuff. You know what I'm saying? I would send him cassettes. He would send me cassettes back and forth, or sometimes we could burning CDs was not easy back then, especially burning CDs of your own recorded material. So we would send cassettes. And when Vaughn was like, we should form a group. Let's work on some group stuff. I was just like, cool. And he was like, but I want Ilias to be a part of it. So like Ilias being a part of it was even like me and Ilias. We were working, and Vaughn was just like, I want to do some stuff with Ilias in there too. So it was kind of like just this, like just mutual decision across the board to just bring Ilias in. Because Ilias wasn't really, he didn't know Vaughn. You know what I'm saying? Like, Vaughn was part of my, like I was, back then being online and having a social life on the internet was weird. You know what I'm saying? So so I was kind of like, I just didn't really tell too many people I was like hanging out on the internet.
Secret. So you mentioned Ilias. So you and fellow MC Ilias had started a group called Ill Will around this time as well. Is that the larger group you were talking about?
So me and Ilias formed Ill Will. The larger group was, we had a group called The Jerks, Jurx, and the crew was called Dreamscape. So there was like a larger crew. It was like a crew of like, I want to say eight to 10 people, I think, if memory serves me. And you know, within that collective, it was like solo artists, groups. Me and Ilias were like a group. We called ourselves Ill Will because we lived together, and we would damn near like, we would just sit and freestyle for hours.
Nice.
Like, so just imagine like you know, like Friday night before you go to the club, you have your drinks and shit. You like whatever. We would just rap, but sometimes we would rap and forget to go out.
Did you record any of it?
No. There might be, he might have some cassette tapes, or I mean some VHS tapes. I do have some cassette tapes of our like old freestyle sessions, like when we used to rap into a karaoke machine.
Nice.
Keeping it real hip hop, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so me and Ilias, we formed Ill Will, and we started like putting together, we got like a record deal like with this cat in New York called Milestone, and we would come up here and record and, you know, like do stuff. And yeah, like even after that, we had another record deal with the guy in Cincinnati called his name was Fred. He had a record company called Lock It Down Entertainment, which is like it was, we've had like all these kind of like small record deals where, you know, we were, I mean, I guess for what it is,
spread it around.
I guess for what it is, for like in music, before I didn't really have a real sense of what the music industry was. And even with my limited understanding of it, for the most part, it's like production deals where they sign you, you make music, and they have the option to either release it or present it to another company for distribution type of thing. Yeah.
Nice. So Tanya Morgan's debut album Moonlighting came out in 2006. But you had released Sunlighting, a mixtape of original material 2 years before. What's the significance behind the complementary titles?
So we had finished Moonlighting before Sunlighting and Sunset. And the reason why the complementary titles happened is because we were like, we were trying to think of a way to like set up the material. Like, what should we do in order to release the album? Let's make a mixtape and let's make an EP. And it was just like, well, you know, the sun's got to set before the moon comes out. So Sunlighting, Sunset, then the Moonlighting. It was just kind of like this cool trilogy thing that slingshotted us into our pattern of releasing a mixtape and an EP prior to albums. That kind of became our thing, yeah.
I dig that. Is it true you had only planned on Tanya Morgan being a one and done deal, and that's still going strong close to 2 decades later?
Yes, it is true. we thought that again, because me and Elias were Ill Will and Vaughn was Von P, and the group name Tanya Morgan was just kind of like this inside joke. Like it was supposed to just be this thing that happened once, and you would like walk into a record store and find this album and discover a hip hop album. It was like just an extended inside joke, and even the label we were signed to, kind of like, you know, they were looking at us as independent acts as well as acts outside of Tanya Morgan. And like, you know, I thought I was gonna be like Nelly or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Because the music that me and Elias were making was very different than the music that Tanya Morgan made. So, you know, I'm from Cincinnati, he's from Cincinnati. And Tanya Morgan's sound was, you know, it's very boom bap, it's very East Coast. The Ill Will stuff was very Midwest, and it was very like, you know, 3-6 type stuff.
Yeah. I'd been a fan of you guys for the longest, but had never really looked into the meaning behind the name Tanya Morgan, and I loved it. I loved finding out about that whole trick.
Yeah, I'll send you some of the early Ill Will stuff. It's not out, but it's some of it's this stuff that, like, when you hear it, if you didn't know I was from Cincinnati, it wouldn't make any sense. You would be completely confused by everything I've ever done musically. Like, what is this that's happening?
Yeah, I was heavy into Midwest hip hop for a minute. Like, just back to the poetry thing, I wrote a poem about Scribble Jam in college.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
In 2008, you and producer Suburb collaborated on Suburban Sprawl, a mix of songs and sketches you had exchanged over emails, AIM conversations, and phone calls. What was it about those beat tapes he would send that inspired you to drop verses on them?
So Suburb, he doesn't produce anymore.
Okay.
The beat tapes would be like, they would be sequenced enough to just listen to as albums. You know what I'm saying? Like much in the same way, some of those Dilla beat tapes, like, or even Donuts. I mean, Donuts was designed to be an instrumental album, so it's not really a beat tape. But like the beat tapes that like kind of leaked and people got a hold of, like sometimes when I listen to them, I can't really. I know some of them exist as songs that people recorded to, but in my mind, like, I can just listen to it straight through, and that was what Suburbs music was like for me. It and then also the thing about Suburbs production in general is that he was a beat maker, producer, but he also was very much an engineer. So a lot of the stuff that you hear in the beat scene stuff now, where it's like kind of like high pass filters, low pass filters, like panned and flanges, and all the heavy production effective stuff. Like he was doing that then.
Nice.
So even if you listen to Suburban Sprawl now, it sounds like it fits. It did not fit when it came.
He's a little too ahead of his time.
Yeah, and like that's one thing about my solo stuff in general is I tend to make all my solo stuff very different from whatever Tanya Morgan does.
Right, that makes sense. So Brooklyn Natty, the group's very well-received sophomore record, dropped in 2009. Who came up with the concept for the album, which included a digital map of a fictitious city, fictional residents from the city, and Brooklyn Natty Public Access Presents videos that I found hysterical. What up, Boogie?
Yeah, I see the comments coming through. What up, Jay Reed? I saw my boy Renzo fall through too. It's a lot of people. I'm trying, but yeah, we kind of came up with it as a unit. It was all of us, you know, like. From the title to just the thematic, the maps and like all that stuff. It was just kind of sitting around imagining the most ridiculous things that we could do. At one point, we tried to get Brooklyn Natty put on a map on Google Maps, like, which is, you can't do that, you know. You just can't. I mean, you could, but you
gotta try.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. If you had long dollars and tried to be like, this is a paid promotion, we're gonna do a pop-up city, like a pop-up city, whatever. But so and shout out to Dom Del Benny. He runs a record label now called a comedy label called Blonde Medicine, but he used to run Loud Minority Music, and he was our guy over at Interdependent Media. A lot of that ideation and like imagining and just like throwing caution to the wind and doing the most ridiculous things we could was facilitated by him. So like any crazy ideas that we had, we were just kind of like, yo, Dom, wouldn't it be crazy if we like was like, we want to call the album Brooklyn Natty. He was like, that's tight. But what if Brooklyn Natty was a place?
So he just took it one step further.
Yeah, and just kind of built onto it.
I love watching one of the YouTube videos where all of you kind of talked about your individual thoughts on what Brooklyn Natty was. Right.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule. You know what I'm saying? Looking back at those things.
The following year, you released Tanya Morgan Presents Laura's tape starring Donwill as Don Cusack. Where did the idea for that release come from?
Having a DVD player and like one DVD. No, it was so I put out the album, what was it? High Fidelity. It was why am I blanking on the name of my own album? But yeah, like I put out that album, and to set up that album, there was a mixtape that came out. Like again, it's just the whole thing about a mixtape and an album. But I just really, like, that movie resonated with me. And I do think it was something to just me watching it ad nauseum on and repeatedly to the point where I could just recite parts of it and, you know, like identifying with it in ways that just felt, ways that felt a little bit too, I won't say ironic, because ironic's the wrong word, but like I just saw like, yeah, I just saw like my father passing and all this stuff. I just kind of like mixed my whole life up in that movie in a weird way. And then, you know, like looking for love and shit.
Yeah. Had you read the book?
I still haven't read the book.
I highly recommend it. Have you seen the TV show?
I watched the TV show.
What'd you think?
I like the movie better.
Yeah. But
I will follow Zoe Kravitz to the end of the moon. Whatever she does, I will be there for it. So
I hear you. Your Doppelganger EP was recorded in 2010 but released in 2011 after you were unsuccessful in connecting with German producer Suff Daddy. What about his story did you feel mimicked your own, or am I reading a little bit too into that?
The title. So the title was just about me feeling detached from myself. Okay. You know how sometimes you look up and you're like, man, how the fuck did I get here? You know what I'm saying? Like, or like your life diverts from whatever path you thought you were on. It just was a moment in time where, you know, I had just become a father, and the world around me had just changed. And it was just like, I just had so many moments where I was just like, man, like, I don't even know who I am. It's like it's like the person I thought I was isn't who I am. And I'm just watching this person. It sounds like go through the motions.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people have been doing that since the pandemic started, so you're not alone there.
Yeah, so like even just like I went back and listened to that album a couple of weeks ago, and just listening to it, thinking about who I am now versus who I was then, like it's still just I'm still like I don't even know who that guy was that was rapping on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just a period in time where I had some stuff to get out.
I get it. The third Tanya Morgan record, Rubber Souls, produced by Six Sense, dropped in 2013. This was the first time you had all been together for the duration of the recording process. How do you feel that enhanced the quality of your output?
I think that it freed up a lot of the second guessing and a lot of the overthinking. Like there was the way we record now, definitely, you know, the way we're accustomed to recording is just kind of like sending demos back and forth or emailing stuff or like it's just this, it's digital and it's very much Vaughn sends a beat, I'll go right to it. I'll send him a demo verse. And like with Rubber Souls, we would go to the studio, record and leave and have a demo to listen to. But it's like you had to go to physically change the thing. Right. So, yeah, you know, whatever you did was just kind of like you got to live with it longer. And plus it was like that thing of just the physicality. Like I know a lot of TV people are saying Zoom writers' rooms are different because there's just so much. There's so much like it's not body language, but just so much like things that so many like COVID is
physical cues.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
like where you don't really get the same sort of energy when you're like
Yeah.
digitally versus being in the same room.
Mhm.
Like you just kind of feel a person's energy. So it just, we connected differently on that. We definitely connected on a deeper level
That makes
as a
sense.
unit.
Mhm. Why was Don Speaks your favorite solo project at the time of its release in 2014, and has that changed?
Yes, it has changed. But I would say it was my favorite because it just, like the sessions were so much fun.
Nice.
You know, like I was recording in Dumbo with my homie. Shout out to Dash Speaks. Shout out to my guy Parker. Shout out to Weekend Money, Ness. Shout out to Das Races. I mean Heems. Like all those guys were just kind of around, and I would just be in the studio recording shit. And like the thing that, so Vaughn had moved from New York
Okay.
at that point, and like, you know, for me, a large part of recording is community and just in general community. So it was just nice to be able to like go to a physical location and record, and it was fun. And the songs, once again, didn't sound like anything else. Um, anything else that Tanya Morgan did, or I myself had done as a solo artist. So it was my favorite just by way of just stretching. I like to stretch out and try to, you know, try to.
I noticed that.
But yeah, if you want to know what my current favorite is,
Yes, please.
it's an EP I did called Stop Waiting that came out.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that one.
Oh.
That's further down in the interview, but yeah, I really like that one. The 12 minutes at Kareem's EP released is out of 6 tracks with beats taken from Kareem Riggins' Alone Together LP. What inspired this release?
Vaughn had sometimes Vaughn just does projects for the sake of doing them. He just like sent me like a batch of songs. Like, here's some things I did to these Kareem Riggins beats, and I was like, oh, I'm absolutely rapping on these. Like, you're not just gonna do this without me. And and it just happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just kind of like went and found the beats he rapped to, looped them up myself, and just, you know, it was just something fun to do, something to kill time.
Nice. Kareem Riggins is one of my favorite humans. He's such a nice guy.
He is probably one of my favorite producers, like in my top 5 right now.
He's fantastic. Who or what is legendary?
What up, Maya? Legendary is Spec Boogie or Rob Cave, Elucid, Vaughn, Aeon, Ilias, Shay Grand, Germicide. I know I'm leaving some people out. I know I'm forgetting. Brick Beats. It's just a collective of artists, producers, MCs. Just, you know, it was just a way for just us forming community. You know, Legendary formed many years ago. An offshoot of OK Players. We all kind of like linked up around there and just clicked up. But it's the crew.
Nice. And you're all still a crew?
Still a crew. We have a group chat.
Nice.
It's not an active group. It's not that active. You know what I'm saying? We group chat. We send each other stuff. We shout each other out of shit. We still working. We're definitely still working.
Nice. You and Von P reunited with former Tanya Morgan member Ilias to put out the collective's debut ahead of schedule in 2016. What separates this album from your other collaborative efforts?
That album was I didn't think it was gonna happen because it was just like such a momentous thing to make happen. Like getting all those people and personalities to like congeal on one thing, and then like figuring out mixing and all. It was a lot to make happen. So it definitely is one of our prouder moments.
Nice.
As a squad, just mainly because some of those songs have been sitting around for years. Like we'll, you know, pick something up and put it down and then walk away and forget it happened, type of deal, and then come back to like, oh shit, why haven't we put this out?
Well, at least you go back to it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album.
Nice. You created the Make Trump Drumpf Again campaign song for the Last Week Tonight with John Oliver series and served as a music consultant for HBO's Problem Areas. Did you find working with TV crews a huge shift from your other work?
Yes. I say that because the thing about TV is a lot more hurry up and wait.
Mm-hmm.
So TV is really like, you have 48 hours to do this thing, and you do it, and then you don't hear anything for a week or a month, and then when you do hear a thing, it's on TV, or
And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, not always. It's not always like that, but sometimes it's just like, because so the thing with music in general is that it's typically, I record a song, and I'm not signed to a major label, so it comes out if I want it to come out. TV, it has to be their like producers, executive producers, line producers. There are like so many. It has to go through editing. It has to go through so many things to even make it to air. That the hurry up part is that. The hurry up part is because the musical component is just one aspect of whatever's being created. So they just need that. So it's almost like the song is almost like B-roll or footage where they're like, okay, we got the shot. Now let's figure out how to use the shot. And that's kind of what happens with music. But so creating original music for like Last Week Tonight was challenging in the sense that, like, you just have a couple of days to do a thing. Whereas music consulting is more like a very slow DJ gig. Like, you gather songs, you you send them to people, and it's the two things are they're drastically different, but they kind of serve the same function, and I enjoy both of them.
That's all that matters. Speaking of Stop Waiting, you've said of the subject matter behind your Stop Waiting EP, what are you afraid of? You've already survived the worst that life has thrown at you, and even if it's not the worst, why would you sit and wait for it? How does the cover art speak to this sentiment?
The cover art is just kind of like deciding that you need yourself more than other people. And when I say that, meaning that the decisions you make, they firstly affect you. I mean, they affect other people, obviously, but you got to look out for yourself and make sure that you're moving in ways that, you're moving in ways that not only benefit you, but benefit you to benefit others around you. Mm-hmm. So, I think that a lot of artists suffer from just perfectionism and creative paralysis surrounding just not necessarily being in your own echo chamber. And once you stop thinking about what if, or maybe this isn't as dope as I thought it was, or maybe so and so won't like it, and you just put it out, it's fine. It's always fine. It's never been a situation where I've done anything and somebody died or a car exploded or my house caught on fire. It's just like somebody on YouTube might be like, this is whack, or who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, in a way it does, but I appreciate what you're saying.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that
I know, like, it's not that big a deal, like what a lot of people make it out to be. For me personally, I just need to be encouraged to get out of my own way a lot. Like, I get in my own way creatively, and sometimes it's to the detriment of art. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're aware of that, you're already winning. The last Tanya Morgan album, You Get What You Pay For, came out in 2017. Can fans expect a new one in the not too distant future?
Yes, it was supposed to come out last year, but the world fell apart, and it'll be out in May of 2021, and we've got some other stuff planned. We've been working with Six on some new music, so there'll be some new Rubber Souls material coming directly after that. Like, as far as like a new Tanya Morgan album after the new one, I know I'm thinking like long. But yeah, because this album has been done and like just vaulted because we couldn't do anything. We didn't have the vinyl or whatever. But I think that we're looking at just working on Rubber Soul stuff immediately after that.
Nice. In 2018, you appeared on several episodes of Night Train with Wyatt Cenac on CISO, NBC's comedy streaming service, but this wasn't the first time you had worked together. Whose idea was it to create Shouting at the Screen at Alamo Drafthouse?
It was our mutual love of blaxploitation films. I won't say bad cinema because it's not bad cinema. It's just guerrilla independent black cinema. But we definitely would watch these movies and just kind of bug out over how a boom mic would be like in the shot, or somebody would flub their lines, or there would be like no continuity in the shot, where they would be on in one scene would go from night to day to night to day erratically. So it was just a fun way to our idea was to present these movies to people in a fun way, but also give them the proper reverence and context to make them, like to make them seem, to let people understand that this was like revolutionary for its time. It's not just like bad films.
Right. Yeah, you weren't trying to like poke fun at it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known about that. I used to love Alamo Drafthouse.
Hopefully we'll be back.
I know, hope so. One Word, No Space was your first full-length release in almost 10 years and included features from Quell Chris, Rob Cave, and MC Paul Barman. I was lucky enough to take one of his workshops at Poets House years ago. Does the title have anything to do with the lack of space to support all the talent included on the record?
No, but I wish it did. I think that I might adopt that. I think. What up, Petey?
I think I learned what it meant afterwards, but I wanted to ask.
It's just like my name in general. People always like put a space in it, or they like mush the two names together, and it's just Donwill, one word, no space. And like for a long time, I'd been saying that. Like I just put it in raps. Like you can go listen to raps from 10 years ago, and I'm like Donwill, one word, no spaces, type shit. And when I was trying to think of a title for the album, because initially the album was a different project, Vaughn was like, you should just call it One Word, No Space. Like that's been what, you know what I'm saying? Like it's been like kind of like your calling card signature thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, that's
it's your slogan.
Exactly. It's exactly a slogan. And like even down to I had to trademark my name around the time of the album. So it was just like, yeah, that's why if you look at like the cover, like there's a little like the little.
I've seen on some of your social media things you have that also.
It's because there's another person that's going around calling themselves Donwill.
Yeah, I think I stumbled across him too in my research.
And I was fine with it. There are multiple Havocs, multiple Prodigies.
Right.
When I started seeing him making shirts, I was like, oh no, you can't.
Yeah.
You're not gonna mess up my search engine optimization.
How did you become involved with the Book of Rhymes podcast, which is executive produced by Classic Material and Mika?
They had approached me actually. Mika had approached me about linking up with Los on the project, and yeah, we had a fateful meeting in his old Williamsburg shop, and the rest, as they say, is history. He opened up his Rolodex to everybody.
Yeah. I don't know him very well, but I know Mika, and she's fantastic.
Mika's dope, and he's dope. Like they're like just two really good people, and like he's doing some stuff now with Al Scratch.
Nice.
And they have like a thing called Basquiat Brothers. But yeah, shouts to Carlos, Classic Material.
Yeah. At the end of 2019, you gave fans a freebie called Ari and Badu on Facetime. Why did you choose to feature these two female vocalists for the release?
When I was listening to Ari Lennox's album, the song Facetime reminded me a lot of Erykah Badu's song Gone Baby, Gone Baby, Gone Baby, Don't Be Long. I forget what it's called. But like everything from the key of the song to the song structure to it just felt like, oh, she just wrote this song to that song. So I just wanted to I have a lot of blends that I do live, and I was like, maybe I'll just throw out a blend for fun. You know what I'm saying? Just get some action happening on the Bandcamp page.
Nice, I do that. Last year, you released Pounds, an instrumental album with contributions from Von P, Elucid, and yourself, among others. How long had you been working on that project?
That project was not as long as ahead of schedule. That project probably took like about 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
Maybe like 6 months. And it was just something fun to do to get because again, like everybody in the crew does beats.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like it was just like, well, let's just take some time to spotlight that and have some fun and showcase our beats alongside one another.
Nice. You were on the bill for Donuts Are Forever 12 back in 2018 and did a 2-hour tribute on your Too Much Rap radio show last year. How has Dilla's music and distinctive approach to beat making influenced you as an artist?
So when I learned when I decided to make music, like actually make music, the 3 albums that I studied were Corrupt Streets as a Mother,
Mm-hmm.
MF Doom, Operation Doomsday, and Slum Village, Fantastic Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
So Dilla is pretty much like the building block for me. Like in terms of, I didn't really know how to, his production style for a person that was learning, it was just very futuristic. I had no idea what was happening with his beats. It was crazy listening to him. So I ended up like gravitating more towards, just for learning purposes, more towards like the MF Doom album. That was kind of where I was like, okay, I could understand what he's doing. Like I see there's a drum break, there's a sample. I get what's going on. Like Dilla would be on some other shit. But you know, like as time went on, like I always go back to Donuts, or I always go back to Welcome to Detroit, or even Fantastic Volume 2, and just kind of like listen to it with a critical ear in terms of just trying to pick apart his technique and figure out what he's doing, just because it's like masterful. Like
he's you hear something new every time.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite MCs too. So like even so, when I did my Donut set and the tribute in general, I wanted to put a showcase more on Dilla's lyrical moments. So if you listen to the mix, you know, like his beats are there because it's Dilla, but a lot of it is focused for me just on the bars because he's one of my favorite MCs, hands down.
Nice. You don't hear that often. I feel like people are pretty critical of his MC skills.
So a lot of producers rap to fill up the space. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense, like they understand that the voice is an instrument and they know what syllables and sounds and tonation should be where. They'll just kind of like do it themselves. And I'm not saying that to say, you know, producers aren't nice on the mic. I'm just saying that like Dilla didn't rap like a producer. He rapped like a rapper. Right. You know what I'm saying? He and then like his pockets and flows and cadences were just otherworldly. He was doing some next level, like his verse on Thelonious is one of the greatest things ever.
I agree. Your Safe EP dropped early on in the pandemic, but could have just as easily come out last week. What had you feeling like things were more serious than what was being hypothesized so early
on? Just working in nightlife and entertainment stuff, just knowing that for me, I think that once everything just went to shit, like the bottom fell out, there was all my gigs were gone. Everything was kind of just like stay in the house. You know, it was actually a larger concept, and it was going to be a different project. Mm-hmm. It was going to be like an actual full-length album. Mm-hmm. But, you know, in honor of avoiding perfectionism and just working, mm-hmm. I decided to make it an EP. And there was just, I remember DJ Harrison had put up like a little snippet of some drums. He was like, yo, any producers want to get busy with this, go ahead, free drum break. And I just made a beat out of it. And I sent it to him. He was like, that's dope. And then I was like, I should rap to this. And I threw it in the group chat. And I was like, I think I'm going to make an album this week. I think I'm just going to do an album. And however far I get is how far I'll get. And that was around the time Bandcamp Fridays started happening too. Right. So I was like, that gave me a deadline. And there also wasn't like the thing where I had to talk to a distribution company in order to get it up on streaming. It was just hitting upload. Mm-hmm. I just decided to challenge myself with making a project in a week. For one, to stay creative, but for two, just like the bottom, like I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't know what to do. Like it wasn't like people were jumping on Instagram to DJ, and nobody had figured out what was going on with anything. So there was no, like I couldn't just hop on.
No rhyme or reason.
Yeah, there was no structure developed yet. So I was just trying to figure out what I could do to take my mind off of the fact that everything had felt falling apart, and that was just kind of like my way of doing that.
Yeah, I respect that. Last June, you hosted a call-in talk show on here. What was that like?
It was fun, and it was fun, but it was also a thing where I enjoyed it, but I was like, I don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah, you're like, this is not an every week kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it was. So I think one of the through lines of everything I've done, excuse me, is community, and just knowing like providing a service for people and having people show up for the service. You know, I was like, what can I do to just get in touch with people, or like reach out to people, or like connect with people? And like I'll get on Instagram and just do something. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was like, fuck it, I'll just get up here and just talk and like answer random Instagram messages and calls, and we could do it like that. It was a good time, and I won't say I think about doing it every now and again. I just don't do it.
I was gonna say it's something I think people would appreciate every once in a while.
Maybe I'll jump back in and do
to lighten the mood a little bit.
Sometimes I get anxious. I get kind of anxious about like that. Like you never know what's gonna happen when you pick up that, like when that video pops up. You know what I'm saying?
That's very true. That's very true. I get anxious when it's not even my video. I'll be on a live and they'll be inviting people on, and I'm like, oh, who's coming?
Yeah.
Like, God bless Destroy. He invites people on there, and I'm like, oh, I'm nervous.
maybe I'll do another one. You got for 20.
You should.
Yeah.
You should. You said that you had planned on you had planned on releasing an album this year and had started working on it sometime last year, and at some point just stopped. The first iteration of Some Music was released in November of 2020 with 3 tracks from you and 6 Cents, with another 3 tracks on Some More Music, which came out last month. How many more installments can we expect in 2021?
That's a good question. It's a great question. I have no idea. Like,
really quick, Greg can be your hype man when you do the call-in talk show.
Maybe I'll go to Greg's house and let him like.
I think you should do that.
And we can answer calls together. That's my guy, man. But I have like demos and beats up, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start throwing these things up, just put them out, because I don't really have the patience to sit and make them into an album.
Yeah, I don't think people have patience to listen to albums anymore. Anyway.
Yeah, and even like with the Rubber Souls thing, we're working on. I don't even know what it is. We're just working on stuff. But with the solo album, it was supposed to be. I don't know what the title was, but I had like at least 10 songs, and of those 10, like half of them are. I put out half of them. I'll finish them up, like, but it's this thing where I'm just doing it in real time. So, because again, like I want to keep doing them for Bandcamp Fridays, but I also want to figure out a way to differentiate the content that drops on Bandcamp Fridays and the stuff that I put up for streaming. Mm-hmm. So, I do a lot of stuff where I like just act first, then figure it out later. And
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, it works fine for me. And now I'm just trying to figure out the system and how to implement it better. So, like figuring out what I'm gonna make my Bandcamp Friday releases versus, because I know I want these things to live on streaming, like the songs for the album. Yeah. And my friend he was like, I noticed that the songs you put out on Bandcamp go up on Spotify, so you're just releasing an album in installments, like 4 easy payments of $25.
Why not?
No rules anymore, so.
No. There haven't been rules for a while, I don't think.
Yeah.
You shared back in April of last year that you would be taking time off to learn how to better use virtual platforms that had all of a sudden become many musicians' preferred method of connecting with fans. As someone who spent so much time on stages before the pandemic, do you feel you've been successful in engaging your audience using platforms like Mixcloud and Twitch?
I do. Honestly, Twitch has brought me so much joy. It's literally like one of the main things I use to get through.
Mm-hmm. I can one real quick. Bus Crates is the same way.
I'm sorry.
Bus Crates is the same way. He says the same thing. Twitch is like his.
It's one of those things where the thing about DJing on Instagram, aside from the crazy sample like copyright laws, you got to play songs 90 seconds in a clip, which you can't really. It's hard to DJ that way. But the thing about it is that people they would rather hear a conversation than a DJ set. Like you can't really engage. And these are about engaging. It's like I'm talking to you and like the chat's flowing. I'm not really addressing people in the comments, but like my homeboy Petey was making comments. Like people come through and make comments, and you want to be able to interact with them. Mm-hmm. The thing about Twitch is that the DJ sets I do there it's almost like you're just hanging out in my living room with me, and I'm playing music and we're talking. Yeah. And I'll literally not DJ. There have been sets where I just talk the whole time. Or like stop the record, spin it back, dissect some lyrics. It's just a fun way to just listen to music and play music, and a different way to share music, to be honest. And like when the world opens back up and there are venues again, I'll still DJ on Twitch in the same format. Like I won't be taking my tripod and setting it up in the club to DJ because yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure it would be interesting on a level, but it's also like, I had a gig that I was doing at a taco spot during the pandemic where they would let me come in and DJ, and it was COVID safe and all that stuff. But at one time I brought like my Twitch setup in, and I set it up, and I was kind of, hanging out and playing music. And I was getting so upset because I couldn't just talk to people in the chat. I had to actually DJ. Right. Twitch has broken me to the point where like DJing without the chat is not as much fun for me now.
I can understand that.
Yeah, like I kind of need that extra level of stimulation of just talking shit with Greg or somebody. You know what I'm saying?
You can talk shit with Greg all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the good things that's come out of the pandemic is how so many people that wouldn't normally get to see you locally in Brooklyn or around New York get that kind of access to you, like you said, like in your living room or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for me, that's been really cool because I can go like in the before times, like going to Soul in the Horn I would try to get there like maybe once or twice a month. Whenever I could get there, like I would have gigs or you would be tired after a gig and go home. Whereas now I can just hop around, party hop. I can see Greg. I can see Monday Blue DJ. I can see Tara. I can see my homeboy King Most. I can see Low Key. I can see all my friends DJ around the country. And the other thing that's cool about it is that the music people are playing in their sets now, it's music that they're not worried about keeping a dance floor moving. You know what I'm saying?
It's what they want to hear.
Exactly. So like one of my favorite DJs right now on Twitch is, I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly. I think it's Les Telusan. Okay. But she's a Filipino DJ, and she does these sets on Sundays or Thursdays where it's just all Filipino music. And it's like Filipino funk, Filipino soul, Filipino oldies and covers, and like it'll be like signed, sealed, delivered, but sung in Tagalog. It's like the most amazing shit in the world. And like stuff you can't even look up on Shazam. You have to like ask her what song this is. Or like like my homie John Reyes does a thing called Per My Last Email, where every day at around like 1 p.m. or noon, he plays a set where it's just this eclectic mix of kind of like independent artists doing R&B or soul or rap, and it's always stuff that you wouldn't have a chance to hear it any other way. And the thing is, for me anyway, music discovery, I've kind of left it largely in the hands of the Spotify algorithm or whatever. And yeah, the algorithm gets it right from time to time. But there's something about like there's something about a person that's very knowledgeable and like just giving you music. And even if it's not a song that you would typically listen to or enjoy, they couch it in a way where you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially if it's someone whose tastes you agree with. Like, just to bring Greg back into the conversation really quick, I started listening to Greg's mixes, and I'd be like texting him like, yo, what's that song?
Exactly. Like, because I met him when we were doing shows at the Face Radio.
Nice.
And like he would come in, his show was right after mine. He would come in and like I would be looking through his records like, yo, this dude has some crazy shit. Like, so I would just kind of sit and listen to the set, and it would be always just really dope music. Or like, and then like, even from that, like last time I bumped into him, there was a record sale on, a mutual friend was having a record sale. And he was just like, you should pick up that record, like he just knows his shit. And it's just nice to have people that know their shit telling you.
I agree. So the pandemic canceled your plans to take a trip for your birthday last year, and plans to release new music were sidetracked by the death of George Floyd. So you decided to ask friends and fans to help you get justice for Breonna Taylor instead of gifts. How do you feel about the fact that we are coming up on a year since that day and still no one has been charged with her murder?
You already know. I'm very unhappy. I'm upset. But I'm also like, it sucks to say, I'm just kind of used to being disappointed, and like I'm a strong proponent of defunding the police and all that shit. And it's not like I don't think that the system is repairable. I think it needs to be dismantled and reimagined. Like you can't really imagine a better system inside of the system that we have currently. And moving forward, moving forward into 2021, I know that at noon tomorrow we'll have a different administration in office officially, and things will be different. But I don't think that should take away from the fact that the same structures and systems still exist.
Yeah.
So, like the police are still the police, and the laws are still the laws, and like we just need to work. I need to work. I need to personally do more to work to try to like make change and affect change in those areas.
Well, yeah. Donwill, I appreciate your time. Do you have anything else you want to add or promote?
I'm DJing Soul on the Horn Radio tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I'm on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. And yeah, that's kind of like the gist. Other than that, just put my name in your music stream machines in the search bar and listen to everything that comes up.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And Von P just dropped it. Von P's got to have it just dropped on vinyl. So
nice.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you again, and hope to see you. I meant to bring up, are you as heartbroken as I am that there's probably not going to be a Donut Serve Forever this year?
Yeah. Yep. I mean,
I've got every year since the third one, so.
I think, do you have on a donut shirt right now?
I have the 12, the one that you are.
Yeah, I saw the letters creeping up. Shouts to my homie Filthy Design, that the guy who does a lot of our album artwork. But like honestly, and I was talking to somebody about this, I've pushed so much stuff to the back of my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of live events and going out, that I can't think about it. Like because it upsets me to think that, it's been a calendar year almost since we've been outside. But like last night, because what I used to do is like 12:30, 1 in the morning, I would just like walk to Bedvine Brew, get a beer.
Oh my God, Bedvine.
Yeah, whoever's DJing, I would just like check out a DJ, and like just not even like, sometimes I would just sit like I would just sit and like not like I would. It wasn't even. It was just about being in a space with music and people and fellowship, and just knowing that I can't do that and I won't be able to do that for the foreseeable future until I whenever it's safe to. It hurts.
Yeah, sorry to bring it up. I told people all the time, I was like, if I had been told like 2 years from now is when it'll end, maybe that'd make it a little easier, but like not knowing, it's probably the hardest part.
Yeah, so that's honestly that's what Twitch gives me. Twitch gives me that level of fellowship and that level of just like congregating around music, and you play a random song that you don't really know if anybody likes, but you don't care because it's your song and you're streaming, and there's one person in the chat that's like, oh shit, this is my jam. You're like, I did that for us. And then like, and there's also like, you don't worry about the 30 or 50 people or whoever's in the chat leaving. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
They're either learning about the song in real time, they're talking about it with other people, or they have an inside joke going. Like I can't stop raving about Twitch. And I've been early on in the days of Twitch. I remember Monday Blue. When I saw her like at the store, this was like early last year. I was like, yo, you got to get on Twitch. You have to get on Twitch. Like, and she's like, I don't know. I'm like, no, trust me. You have to fucking get on Twitch. It's amazing. But like even my friend, DJ Stylist in DC, I've been like, yo, get on Twitch. I'm telling like any DJ who I know that's really dope, and they feel like we've all lost the opportunity to share music with people. But I'm like, no, it's still there. And even if it's just like 10 people, like all bullshit aside, it could be 10, 15 people in the stream. Sometimes those are the best ones. Like, yes, I've been streaming with 10, 15, 20 people, and it's great. And then you get a raid or something, like 100 people will come in, and it just becomes a different thing because it's not intimate anymore. Right. But I mean, I do like the big raids. I appreciate crowds of all sizes. Yeah, they're fun. I've been in Shortcuts before when he gets raised. I'm doing my first Twitch on Friday. I'm interviewing the visionaries, and that's one of the only platforms that I can do that many people at one time. So. Oh shit! Are you excited? Are you nervous? No, I don't get nervous with these kind of things, but I'm excited. Like I interviewed Brett Maddock some months ago, and I told him I really wanted to try and get the guys on a stream, and he was like, "Do Twitch," and I was like, "Okay." Well, I've been more so nervous. I'm not nervous about the interview, but more so nervous about the platform and just like the technical aspect of it. Yes, but I did a test of it tonight, and I got a bunch of my friends to jump on to like help me test it, and it seems like as easy as this. So hopefully I'm not gonna put my foot in my mouth on Friday, but we'll see. It's gonna be at midnight because it's 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So yeah, there probably won't be too many people around to see me mess up. No, that's funny enough. So that's the other thing about Twitch that I started realizing early on is that it's like West Coast heavy. So like there are streams that it is very West Coast heavy. At 3 a.m. here when I'm like winding down, they're just like it's just starting to pop. I can agree with that. I've been on interviews till like midnight, and I jump on a stream, and there's like tons of people. Thanks, Greg. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely try to tune in Friday. Thanks. I'm excited. I'm hoping the one thing I really hope is I can record it the way that I record these, so it like can live in perpetuity on my YouTube page. So. Are you streaming with OBS? StreamYard. Okay, yeah, I know OBS has a option to capture, but so Twitch does record it and archive it, and you have the option to go in and download the video. Oh, it's just when you do music streams on Twitch, like they would disable the audio, so sometimes it's just so that's what DJ Neil Armstrong used to say when people would be like, oh, I want to like watch it back, but you only have a certain amount of time when you can hear the audio. I didn't realize that's what happened. Yeah, that's so Twitch, like when you're playing it live, they never cut you off. It's just once it's archived, some of the audio gets snipped for whatever. Here to make room. Yeah, but like if you're just doing a conversation, you'll be fine. Nice. Well, I appreciate the advice. Cool.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a good night. Peace, Dama.
You too. Peace.